I loved how much like love we felt like with everything. So that was really nice because again, because I was feeling guilty, it was really nice to see like how much like love everyone was still like putting into it.
The big elephant in the room, one of the challenges was
it's all because of you. I feel the way I do.
What's up, flourishing fam? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Flourish with Dolores, where flourishing is about progress and not perfection, honey. I know he's not trying to put his basketball in my face. Thank you so much for tuning into another video. This is my husband Charles, and in today's video we are giving y'all a wedding recap. We're answering your questions that you submitted and telling you the things that we wish we wouldn't have done and the things that we are so happy we did. So if you're planning a wedding or you're just curious, definitely keep on watching.
okay. So we're gonna get into first frequently asked questions, our experience, what we getting into.
Frequently asked questions.
All right.
And it is a week from our wedding. A week ago today, we were resting after our cookout and all that good stuff. So that's a week from our wedding weekend.
All right. So first question is, do we regret having a wedding?
Good question.
Let's just hit it hard.
I do not regret it at all. Weddings are expensive for sure. I think in the beginning, even up until if you guys would keep up with our vlogs, we'd be like, don't do it. You said don't have a wedding? But I feel like life is so short. I say life is long and life is short at the same time. Life is as long as God is gonna bless us to need to be here. But at the same time, it's short. And if you think about it, for the most part, if you think about your average day, you go to work, you make money, you come home. You go to work, you make money, you come home. And I think for us, having like our family and celebrating that and being able to like look back at that memory, that's important to us. I don't think it needs to be as extravagant. I think, you know, we could have done something in the park with our family and celebrated, but I think we were just missing something with our family and our close friends and celebrating with them. Did we need to spend the money that we spent? No. But did we want to have this experience? Absolutely, because I don't want to look back at my life and just be like, I just worked and came home and that was it. What about for you?
Yeah, no, I don't regret having it at all. I think it was something that was kind of like hanging over our heads. And like we went back and forth, you know, due to the pandemic and money and all that stuff like that, just trying to figure out like if it actually made sense to do it. And I think the conclusion that we kind of came up was kind of what you were saying, is that like, you know, the moments that we, you know, were kind of looking for in terms of the whole wedding process, we kind of missed out on, and we didn't really want to. I feel like we couldn't really move on to like the next stage of our life until we felt like we had that opportunity. Because like, I know you always dreamed walking down with your dad. I always wanted to dance with my mom on my wedding day and stuff, and you know, being able to just, you know, kind of relax with my guys. So yeah, no, I don't regret it at all. The next question. Now I came up with this question. You know why? Because this is a question that I asked a lot, right? And I feel like no one could really give me a straight answer, so I'm just gonna go ahead and ask it. How do you actually save money for a wedding, right? And the reason it frustrated me is because everyone just says, oh, you know, you just save. I'm like, well, what does that mean? I'm like, you only make X amount of money from your job and you have bills and stuff to pay. I'm like, where does this extra like money come from, right? So I feel like, well, there's a couple things you can do. Some of it I think we did. Other things I remember reading on like a lot of websites, and I think there's potential for that. But I think first and foremost, you have to kind of obviously set a budget. It's very tough to stick to the budget. Yeah, especially
towards the end. Money just starts flying out the window. Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, within reason, I think we kind of, for the most part, try to stay as much as we could. But, you know, like you were saying, some things just come up, and yeah, things that you didn't anticipate and stuff like that, like the tips at the end, that's another thing that does take money away. But I would say a couple of things I think you can do is, number one, obviously start to save a little money on the side. I would say you can make certain changes in your life that will save you money. So like if you're big into like coffee drinking, you're big into like smoothies or stuff like that, cut away from that for like a couple months and see how much you save. Like if you think about it, like between like smoothie or coffee or something like that, that's like, if you get one like every day, that's like, that could be like $4 or $5 a day, and that's almost $20 a week. And if you save that, that's $100 for the month, right? So little things like that I think make a difference. If you can find other opportunities to bring in income, like side gigs,
I would do like side hustles for
right,
sure.
Right. So some people did that. I know of as well. But and just give examples, like, you know, whether it's, you know, if there's some other business and stuff you offer, if you're into like tutoring and stuff like that, especially during this time, you know, a lot of parents, especially from pandemic and stuff, we're looking for like private tutors. That's another opportunity. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do, you know, little extra side gigs.
Definitely getting into side gigs. And then I think the other thing, which I was going to talk about later, but I think it fits in now, is cut your cloth according to your size. And that's a saying I actually heard my little sister say it the first time, and it said a lot in Ghana, like, you don't want to go beyond your means. And the biggest thing about that is you're going to be entering into a marriage, and you don't want to enter into your marriage where you guys are in debt, you guys are stressed, you guys are upset with each other because one of you spent way more money than you guys had planned to. And I know with social media it feels a lot of pressure to go above and beyond and have all this like glitz and glam, but like, if you can't afford it, don't do that. And I think there's other ways to make your wedding look very nice and look very extravagant without spending crazy amounts of money. And we'll talk about that a little bit later when we go more into detail.
Yeah, I think it's important to also set like goals of like what are like my non-negotiables, like I absolutely want to spend money on, versus think that you can probably do it without, or you can like either do stuff like do it yourself stuff, or borrow from other people as well. We did borrow some things from other people that actually helped save us some money as well.
Yeah. I guess we can get into that now. Like, for example, the signs that we had with people's names, like when they check in, we borrowed that from our friends Joe and Markiana, because our venue told us that they would have table tents, and then last minute they didn't have it. So then we were trying to figure out something, and I was like, wait, Joe and Markiana just got married a couple of weeks ago, like maybe they still have it, we could borrow. Because it's just one of those things, after you use it, you're never gonna really need it again. So you know. We also borrowed like our card box from one of my maid of honors, my matron of honor, actually, Kume, so that was helpful. I also downsized on flowers. As you guys know, my bouquet was real, but my bridesmaid's bouquet and the boutonnieres weren't real, and they looked just as beautiful. Really, during the party, I saw them like thrown around everywhere. Right. So I'm like, it's a good thing I didn't spend $95 each on these. So that was something I compromised on. And I also compromised on our white floor, which of course I still wish we had. And I'm getting a marble floor that I don't have to pay for. But when you, in hindsight, you know, would that have changed our turn up and our fun? No. And then the other thing I compromised with saving too is the table settings. So I could have went with like the big grand table settings, but once I learned that those are typically $100 each, and we would have needed about 23 tables to fit our guests. So if you do 100 times 23, that's 2,300 just for those big flowers, and then you still need other pieces of decor. So we went with like the smaller ones that were included in our package, and then we what is it called, upsize? Upscale? Can't think of our words. But we did upgrade when it came to like the candles, because I wanted it to look very romantic. So instead of doing the big grand flowers, I upgraded and did the candles on the table. So I think that ended up being like maybe an extra $20 per table rather than $100 per table. So there's ways that you can cut, and again, cut your cloth according to your size. And even if you can't afford it, sometimes you just have to think, because there's glamorous things that obviously we could afford. We could have afforded the huge tables, but then when we start to think about our long-term goals, even short-term goals,
like, oh, you could get
there's other things that we want to do.
Right, but we got that might mean mortgages, bills.
Yes, I want to have like investment properties. I want to go on vacation, like more on vacation. Yeah. So I think you just have to like figure out what your priorities are, and then just be confident from there and try your best not to, you know, get into the comparison trap, because I think we all have to like settle or compromise on something. Like, we can't have every single thing we want for our wedding. Right. Yeah, some people can, and you know what, more power to you. But, yeah, that's true. Yeah. And let's not hate on the people that can.
But that wasn't us.
Yeah.
Other question was, why didn't we go on a honeymoon right away?
So I think there's pros and cons. For me, when it came down to like the last 2 weeks of the wedding, and our honeymoon was already booked and stuff by a travel agent, like who's gonna pick us up from the hotel, all that little stuff was booked. But I also wanted to take the time to like start looking up excursions and book tours. So when our travel agent was writing us like 3 weeks out before the wedding about these like decisions, like, okay, these are some excursion ideas I have, like I could even wrap my head around like planning that when I was trying to plan 2 weddings. So I'm glad we kind of had this time. We have like, I think we took 2 or 2.5 weeks before we go on our honeymoon, between the wedding and the honeymoon. And for us, I think it worked out really well, because we had time to like have a cookout with our family on Sunday. So it was really nice to like, you know, we both had a busy work week. The week following after the wedding, especially because we wanted to save on some of our vacation days. I'm in a new job. But then this weekend, it was nice to finally start to get some rest. And then we still had calls to make. Like, you know, in my culture, you, instead of doing the cards, I mean, we still will do cards. But in my culture, it's more important to pick up the phone and call and thank your guests. So we've been able to do all of that. So the hope is by next week when it's time to go on vacation, like wedding, we're done.
Yes.
Like the house will be, you know, our house was definitely cleaned right before, but like in terms of like the little wedding stuff will be put away, discarded, the calls will be done, and so that is going to feel really good to just be on vacation and not have to worry about those type of little things to come home to.
Yes.
With like the cleaning and the calling and the cards.
I agree. Well, for me, number one, definitely didn't want to just, because I feel like I would have just been too exhausted. Like Monday, oh my god, like we just stayed in bed. Like I've never been so exhausted. Like even, it was funny, the day of the wedding, when I came into the hotel room, I literally passed out in my tuxedo on the couch. That's how I couldn't even make it to the shower. That's how tired I was. So I knew I just needed some rest. And like, you know, the way, you know, kind of my job, a lot of people's job work is that like, you know, you can take time off, but like when you get back, like your schedule's gonna be like very front loaded. And so I didn't want it to be too crazy when I came back. So I was like, let me just break up the time between the wedding and the honeymoon. But yeah, I'm happy the way we did it. Okay. Next question is post-wedding depression real?
So when Charles, after we got married again, the Farmers Take Two. Oh, so for those of you who are watching for the first time, this was actually our 2nd year anniversary. We got married for the first time in our apartment without family and friends. They were all on Zoom, a select few, like our parents, really, that was it. And we've always wished we had the wedding that we were actually planning in 2019 when we got engaged, but then, you know, COVID happened. So this is us being able to finally do it. So after the wedding, Charles was like, oh, I want something to plan.
Yes.
I'm so bored. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because I've always been a really busy person. So I'm like, I'm so glad to get this big thing off my plate and just enjoy chilling.
Right.
So for the first week, I was good. And also, too, you still kind of have that adrenaline, that hype.
Yeah.
You know, people are posting you and stuff. But then I will say, I think a week after Saturday, I was kind of like, like, this is over. But I don't think I'm really into like a depression. I think there's so much I have to look forward to. Like we have our vacation coming up. We have some other people's weddings. Like y'all, there's nothing like being a wedding guest at someone else's wedding. We definitely enjoyed our wedding, but I will say I had fun watching my friends have fun, and I almost wanted to like jump into one of their bodies and like be at the bar with them, be on the 360.
I know I have fun.
You know, where we had to be. Well, I mean, in the beginning when we sat down for dinner, we kind of had to be propped up.
Yeah.
You know, waiting for like the speeches and all that good stuff.
Right. For me, yeah, that first couple of days, you know, because I was just so I don't know, the playing was stressful, but I enjoyed it because it like kind of gave me something outside of like work and stuff to like, you know, put my mind to and stuff. Like I found it enjoyable, but like when it was done, I was like, oh man, like what's my next like task? Like what do I do? But I read a couple articles about it, and they were like, the most important thing you could do is that like is to pick up like another thing, not necessarily be as big, but pick up another thing to plan to do. And it could be something as small as like going out somewhere, taking a weekend away, something to like look forward to. That's really like, I think what helps you get through the work week is like looking forward to something fun to do. So yeah, I try to be more intentional about planning some things in the summer.
Yeah, I think for yourself, I think that's such a good point you just made, babe, because for yourself and as a unit, for the last so many, you know, months or years, like wedding planning was what, especially as it got closer, was all we talked about. So I think it is important to start thinking about like what you two can do together and what you can do individually. Like I want to get into swim class, like there's different things that I want to do, and like life goes on, and I think the wedding is just like a super fun thing that you have and a memory you cherish. But I think that you can't get so absorbed in it that it becomes a part of your identity, because when life goes on, then I think that's where that depression kicks in a little bit more. All right, so we have more questions from the Instagrams. When is the right time to plan a wedding? That's a really good question. So I think it's definitely up to you and your partner. I think for us, we actually started planning our wedding before we were even engaged. So we were together for about 7 years at that point, and we knew we wanted to get married, you know, by I think 2021 was our goal. Right. So at this time it was 2019, And we knew, okay, 2021, we want to get married. Like, let's just start looking at venues. Like, let's start looking at rings. And thank God we did that, because that definitely did give us a head start. So I would say for you and your partner, I think it's ideal to give yourself at least a year to plan. But I think if you really can, I think 2 years will really have you golden, where it's not as stressful, because you can knock out tasks in a longer timeline rather than feeling like everything is condensed. Because we got to experience both. We got to experience what it felt like in 2019, where we're just coasting, enjoying like the venue parties, and like, you know, I could contact a makeup artist and she'd be available, or a hairdresser and she'd be available, because I was looking 2 years out. But then when we stopped planning due to COVID, and then we didn't pick up again until 6 months before the wedding, because we just weren't sure if we should do it due to COVID, which thank God we got the chance to. I felt what it's like to be planning like within 6 months, and that was not a good feeling. Like, I feel like I felt almost at my lowest, even lower than I felt when I was doing my doctorate, because it was just so much stress. Like, I would contact a makeup artist or a hairdresser, and then no, not available, no, not available. And of course, as a woman, I'm really particular with who's going to be doing my hair and makeup. So it was so hard, and then it was getting so expensive, and I was kicking myself because 2 years prior, or a year prior, I had a makeup artist, I had a hairdresser. The problem began when we stopped planning. We kind of went dark on a lot of people, and we didn't really give them the new date because we just weren't sure. Thank God we did give the new date to our photo video, so we still had them on lock. But yeah, I would say for sure, as soon as possible. It doesn't hurt. Have fun with it.
I'd say plan when you feel like you're ready. I think, because I think it depends on, every couple is different. Like, some people can literally plan a wedding in like 3 months if they want to.
Right, because it depends what type of wedding you're having,
right,
too.
That too. So I think just be when you're ready, when you guys are emotionally ready, when you're financially ready. Yeah,
and I think this goes to, towards another question that we were going to answer is, what vendors should you start booking first? What would you say, babe?
I think you gotta start with the venue first.
Yeah, 100%. If you don't know where you're getting married, because you may have like the perfect date in your head. Let's say you want to get married like 11/11. Depending on where you're having a wedding, they may already be booked that day. So you want to start with the venue first, fall in love with your venue, and see what dates they have available, and also what pricing. Because back to saving money, we also originally were going to get married on a Friday to save a little bit of money, and we also negotiated. So don't take the first price your venue gives you. You know, take the price, shop around, let them know that you got a better price at another venue. And I bet you, this happened to us, they came back and they knocked down our plate by like $20 a plate. So
which adds up.
Oh yeah, it adds up depending on how many people. So full transparency, I think ours was about $150 per plate initially, and then when we negotiated with them and then also chose a Friday and then a guaranteed minimum of 200, we were able to negotiate $120 per plate. So you do the math, times 200 people. But then when we canceled our wedding for 2021 and moved it to 2022, our date fell on a Saturday, which worked out perfectly. And they said, you know what, we're still gonna honor your discount, but we're just gonna have to up it by $10. So we ended up paying $130 per plate. The other question is, how did you find your makeup artist? Y'all, Jesus. Again, first time out, because it's like two experiences we had again. First time out, I just searched Instagram. I looked at like popular wedding video photographers, popular wedding websites to see who does what makeup and whose looks do I like, because I really wanted like a natural like B. Like, I still wanted to look like myself but still be like, dang, like she's B. And that's what Beauty by Benny did. Shout out to her. But the initial person I had, she was great. I was really excited about her. We had the contract a year and a half ahead, but again, like I was just saying, I won't go into it again. I had lost her because of the date change and then found a new person. But this was so hard, y'all. Let me tell y'all, shout out to my cousin who is a makeup artist, actually, Afro Glam Beauty. She started like messaging people for me because I was getting so sad, and at that point we were like 2 months out, and it's like, I don't know who's doing my hair and makeup. So she started like messaging people for me. My bridal party, like Thelma, my sister Marion, they started like going on websites, like looking for people. I think we posted something on Facebook. There's a New Jersey there's New Jersey weddings, but then there's Black owned New Jersey if you want to find vendors. So I just put my date out there, like, this is the date I need a hair and makeup artist. So we went through that with finding people, and thankfully Beauty by Benny was available. And literally the day I called her, she was like, there's a couple people inquiring about our date, so if you want to lock it down, let's lock it down. And thank God I got her. Same thing for hair, which tune into the video, you'll see my hair issue. But pretty much I went through the same process for hair. I did want someone reputable. I did want someone who had a lot of experience, who could do hair and makeup really, really well. Because, you know, those are photos and videos you have forever. And I also wanted to feel my most confident.
Shout out to my barber. I went to the same barber I've been going to since I was 8 years old.
Yep.
He kept my hairline together.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to search too hard.
Yes, that's true. Someone said your outfit was fire. Thank you. So someone else said, did you have a wedding planner? If so, how did you find them? So we did not have a wedding planner. And initially when we were planning, again, 2019, we did interview one wedding planner, and when I asked her, like, oh, like, will you help us, like, with invitations and stuff like that, whenever I was asking her, she was like, no. Basically, from what she was saying is she just kind of creates, like, your vision board of what you might want and help you find some vendors, but pretty much you're on your own. So I was like, why am I paying you for that? And again, we had 2 years, and we were really enjoying the process, so we didn't need it. I would say a wedding planner is important if you aren't, like, heavy in Pinterest and Instagram and already kind of have an idea of what you want and vendors to reach out to. If you kind of feel like you need some help finding vendors and kind of coming up with like a theme and the feel that you want, definitely have a wedding planner. Now, is there anything you want to add before I talk about wedding coordinator? Yeah, there's a difference. There's a difference between a wedding planner and a wedding coordinator.
Yeah, I would say if you're not as into like the creative aspect and you like don't want to be bothered with like, you know, all the vendor stuff. Like, I don't know, I enjoyed that. Like, I enjoyed, like,
we loved it.
Searching for, like, because the venue thing was kind of my deal. Like, I enjoyed, like,
oh my God, we are spreadsheet heavy. So we had a whole spreadsheet of, like, venues we visited, what their cost was, what it comes with, what we can negotiate.
Yeah, but if you're not good at that, then yeah, you probably should get one.
Yeah, then you should get a planner for sure. And also if you're super busy. So I think on the second leg of us planning, we were so busy. You know, I had a new job. Charles was pretty much, well, you were on a new job before too.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it just felt, I don't know, life just felt a little bit more hectic, maybe because we were getting closer. So that's when I think we would have benefited from a planner. But the next question is, did you have a, why do you need a wedding coordinator? And 100% get a wedding coordinator.
I'll tell you why.
And so let's talk about the difference. The planner sees you from like inception of like creating your wedding vision, getting the vendors, all that stuff. The coordinator is really there, not just the day of. Our coordinator, shout out to him, came in really the month of, and he started getting to know who your vendors, and then he also started getting to know like planning logistics, like our itinerary, how things are gonna work, how things are gonna flow so they stay on time. Thinking about things that we'd even think of in terms of logistics was really helpful, but you don't necessarily need the wedding coordinator from the beginning. You could have them come in towards the end once your vendors and everything are in place. Yeah. The one thing, kind of went back to the wedding planner, wedding planners are usually like in the know of other vendors, so sometimes you may get like good vendors because of them if you're looking for suggestions. So that's another benefit of a wedding planner. Yeah, or deals. Yeah. And sometimes a wedding planner also doubles as a wedding coordinator. So shout out to Jeffrey. Jeffrey, you can hire him as a wedding planner and wedding coordinator, or one or the other. Highly recommend having a wedding coordinator. We almost didn't, y'all, and I don't even know how. Like, I had to convince Charles. Actually, let me tell you guys a story about how we got the wedding coordinator.
Can I spray real quick?
Yeah.
Lost my gum.
What's wrong?
I lost my gum.
Oh. While Charles getting it together, let me tell y'all about how we found the wedding coordinator. So we were talking to our MC. So we were hiring an MC. This is like 2 months out. Hiring the MC, and then we told her how we're having 2 weddings in one day, and she was like, whoa, do you have a wedding coordinator? And we're like, no, we'll be fine. Like, our venue has a maitre d', like, you know, we'll be fine. Y'all, the maitre d', I don't even know who she was, where she was at. Barely was helpful the day of. So she was like, I highly, you know, recommend you do get a wedding coordinator, to especially make sure everything goes smoothly and you get everything done in the day. So then she referred us to Jeffrey. So we did like a little interview with Jeffrey, and then Charles was like, what? Like, why do we have to pay for a wedding coordinator? We don't need a wedding coordinator. And then when he looked up, and this is another thing we suggest too, whenever you feel like you get a price that seems like a little bit too much, look up how much they usually charge in the industry, and then sometimes that'll make you feel like, okay, this is a normal price. Because y'all, Jeffrey earned every single penny. And then some. Yeah. Like, I'm like, Jeffrey, can we be friends? Like, how else can we work together? Every single penny. So I highly recommend a wedding coordinator. Make sure you interview them. Make sure, I think you were saying earlier, make sure you kind of see their vibes of how responsive they are.
Yes, I think that with all vendors, I think that'll give you a good hint about what your relationship's going to be like. in terms of like their responsiveness. If like if you have to like beg them to respond, then you should probably just cut them off.
Yeah. And Jeffrey, our wedding coordinator, was super responsive, just really took over everything and just made us feel at ease. Like, one of the things I respected, especially if you watch like our hair video, and I'll insert some clips here with us recapping with Jeffrey, is like, he doesn't make you feel bad during the day. Like, there was times where he had to like put things on an Uber to get to me because we didn't have it, like my hair, and he never said like, oh, the Uber is gonna be 143 from Brooklyn. Like, he just went ahead and got it done without, you know, making you feel stressed. And then I never seen him run, but like some of our guests like did see him running back and forth between the venue and our hotel. But like, whenever he'd come in the room, he'd be cool and calm, like everything is good. And I just really love that. So shout out to Jeffrey.
The ceremony was fantastic. I thought having it unplugged, we were just saying, was really good. Like, it felt intimate.
Yeah.
Like, and I think everyone really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I remember people saying like, oh my God, like I've never experienced something like this. Like, the details, the amount of care you put into everything, like we really appreciated that. And that touched me because for a while, like I just couldn't, I know I'm going back to it, but I just couldn't let go of the fact that like we were late and like there were certain things missing. But a lot of times like guests don't know that. But it's just like little things, like for example, the morning ceremony, how hot it was. If we started at 10, it wouldn't have been that hot. You know what I mean? Until towards...
And I was telling people about it. I'm like, it was, you know, time after, but we had an emergency, so that's why, you know, it's not nice like that. But yeah.
And I feel like usually like when a wedding isn't starting on time, you know, people are usually thinking like, oh, the bride's not ready, you know, like it's usually like a me thing. And I don't know, because like, again, like I tried so hard to be on time. I loved how like intimate our wedding ceremony was. I loved how much like love we felt like with everything. So that was really nice, because again, because I was feeling guilty, it was really nice to see like how much like love everyone was still like putting into it. I'd be like, here's my list of references, and then I also suggest that you Google to see the average price, because the hours that you put in, like we were just amazed, Jeffrey, at like how much you did behind the scenes. Like, even though you were quote unquote a day of coordinator, like you really started with us like months before, and you weren't like, oh, well, that's not my thing. Like, if I asked you for something, you would just be like, okay. I'm sure sometimes in your mind you're like, damn, I'm kind of working a little too hard. But like, you never made me feel bad, like even if that's what you thought.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. Yeah.
We're gonna tell, we will be speaking, I know I'll be speaking to my colleagues at work and stuff like that about you, to make sure that they have your information if they're getting married soon.
Yes, and I'm recording myself talking, so you could definitely use any of these clips. I'll send it to you so you can have it as a review. But you are just such a blessing, Jeffrey. Definitely get a wedding coordinator. If you're in the DMV, tri-state area, hire Jeffrey. I'll link him below. Super professional, super worth it.
Even if you're on the West Coast,
fly him out.
Yeah, I'm sure if you're willing to pay, he probably will come.
And he's doing his PhD in coordination, so like that's dedication.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything else on wedding coordinator?
I think that's all that needs to be said.
All right, so there is one more question that came in the Q&A, but we want to save that one for last. So now we're going to get into our lessons learned / challenges.
I would say challenges. Hotel block. I would say that was one mistake that we made. So when we first got the hotel, we asked, because we didn't know like how many rooms we were supposed to block. So for some reason or another, initially they said to just do 10 to start, and you could add more later. Now this is like 2019, so we figure, okay, we got 2 years, we can add more rooms as we go along. No one's gonna book a hotel 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
We thought. But and when we changed our date originally, we let the hotel know, but we never actually like said we needed more rooms. And so when we went to the hotel, maybe 6 months out or so, we realized that we did not have anywhere close to the amount of room. We couldn't even fit our bridal party and like our parents in there.
I don't know what we were thinking.
I don't know what we were thinking either. So
we were young and in love.
Yeah. So we were like panicking. We were trying to call other hotels, a lot of other hotels, because it's like big, like kind of comeback season. A lot of people that didn't get married are now getting married in 2022. So like we had in our hotel, there were three separate weddings, including ours. So that hotel was like booked solid. So you know, we had to kind of beg to try to get a couple extra rooms. We called back multiple times, saying, hey, did the other block, did they cancel a couple rooms? Could we get a couple of theirs? And I think by the grace of God, at the end, we probably ended up, we started with 10, probably ended up, what, 20?
20,
yeah.
yeah.
20 rooms.
And then
that
we
were
got
able to-
another hotel.
Yeah.
But it was
yeah.
essential to have our wedding party at our hotel because it's on the same property as our venue, which was a huge bonus.
I would say of things that, jumping, but of things that, like, I would say if it's within your control, depending on your venue, if you can get the hotel, like, that's on the same property, because a lot of venues own hotels now, or that's, like, as close as possible, that's so much easier because, like, for the guests, especially, like, the out-of-town guests, like, it is so much easier when everything is just in one place, right? Like, they don't have to worry about trying to drive around an area that they're not comfortable with and stuff. Our venue is actually walking distance from the hotel, so a lot of people that are in the hotel, they actually walked to the venue. So and it was just
walk back and
right,
forth, and it helps when you forget something, like
right,
you're able to just run over.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that helped with also our guests being on time. Like, they were on time. Like, they really had no excuse. Like, the hotel was literally right there. So yeah, I would say.
I think it was just Friday night getting our guests to come. You know, like my family coming from Connecticut.
But that was okay, because I mean, it was just the rehearsal.
But once they're here, they're here.
Yeah, it was just the rehearsal,
nice.
so it wasn't like a big deal.
And it was almost like we were on vacation together
Yeah.
because, you know, with the 2 weddings in one day, in the morning when our guests came, you know, they had, for the most part, people changed. So they had different outfits. And then when we got to the evening part, the dinner, it was like everybody came looking refreshed in a different outfit.
Yeah.
And it was almost like we were like at a resort, because you know when you're on vacation, like you do something in the morning, then you go maybe take a nap, and then you come back at night and you're in a different outfit.
Right.
So that was really nice. Other challenges, my dresses, y'all. First of all, my dresses were so beautiful. I love them so much. They were all custom made in Ghana. I'll insert some clips here of when I was getting measured and they were getting made. But y'all, that put me through so much stress. All of the dresses, everybody's outfits, like, Jesus. So, and hopefully I can find the clip of, like, Charles saying, like, I don't know why you're getting dresses in Ghana, like, you're gonna be stressed and all this stuff. And
See, I knew it.
I mean, it's a challenge and it's a lesson learned, but I don't think I would have changed it. I think what I would have done, first let me tell you the challenge. The challenge was Ghanaians are super laid back. Like, they never, for the most part, I don't want to say never because some Ghanaians do, but for the most part, we don't really do things on time. Like, we just, like, take our time with things. We're very laid back. And so my dresses, I went and got fitted in December. What I wish I would have done was sent my measurements to Ghana before I went to Ghana in December, so that when we got there, outfits and everything was already made and we were just fitting them. So that way we could have taken it back with us when we left in December. But when we went to Ghana in December, that's when we were getting the fitted. That's when we were asking our friends to send their measurements. But with our friends sending their measurements, some people had to do it on their own. So measurements weren't right. And then for the most part, a trained seamstress or a tailor can tell when, like, your measurements are off because it's not proportionate. So then they would get back to us like, oh, tell so-and-so to do it again, and we have to keep going back and forth. So it would have really been nice if we would have handled all of that. But again, we didn't really decide we were gonna have our wedding that was gonna be in June until like December. We were still kind of like, I don't know. Yeah. But I think ideally we should have been collecting our friends' measurements. I should have got my measurements, your measurements, and then sent that to Ghana like in September. So people had enough time to make it. So December when we go, they know, like, we're here and we're leaving. Like, we need our stuff. We're leaving by this date. And we could have just got it fitted and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say for my guys, because we did run into, because initially Laura was like, oh, just have the guys, like, measure themselves. And, like, that's one thing I will say. Girls, you guys are probably used to measuring yourselves because, like, you probably get, like, outfits and dresses, like, made. Okay? You do more than guys.
I don't know if the average girl is just measuring themselves.
I know, but, like, you guys probably are a little more comfortable with the tape measure than guys are. Guys are not really used to, like, measuring themselves. And also because of, like, the way the outfit is, like, it's not, like, the average tailor in America would know, like, the caftan and all that stuff like that. So I think that gave the guys, like, a lot of trouble because, like, they didn't know. Like, we had to actually have them in Ghana, like, give a video explaining, like, how to measure certain things. But yeah, I mean, because the first outfits really didn't fit the guys too well.
We had to go through a second tailor.
Yes.
We were like, forget this one, let's go to another one. The second one, I will say, even though he added cufflinks to the outfits where he didn't need to, or like a cufflink hole, so Charles had to run around getting cufflinks. He didn't need to add that, but I will say he had such a unique measurement style. Basically, he just said, go find a pair of pants and a shirt that fit you really well, that you like, and then measure that. And then basically he cut your material to that outfit that you already know fits well. So I thought that was so genius, because sometimes when someone says, like, measure your waist, you might measure here assuming that's your waist when you need to be here. So when he was able to see the pictures, like, 'cause we had to send him pictures of the outfits and where we put the measuring tape, our outfits, I think everybody's for the most part came out pretty well with the second tailor.
Yeah, they did. I probably in retrospect, just from not having to deal with the stress and stuff, even though it would have been more expensive, I probably would have just had the guys get measured in America and had like a tailor in the US just make it. Like, it was going to be more expensive that way.
It would have been like 4 times the cost.
Right, but I wouldn't want to deal with the stress again, so I would have just had them do it here.
Like, just to give you guys numbers, the guys' outfits were maybe about $40 each in Ghana, and then here it would have been maybe about $200 each. So we were really trying to save our friends money, especially because they had to be in 2 weddings for us. For me, with getting my dresses in Ghana, I was born there, so I really wanted to be able to pour back into Ghana. I'm very indecisive when it comes to like falling in love with just one dress. Like, I may like the shoulder on one dress but the bottom on another dress. So getting it custom made really worked for me. And on top of that, the style that I liked, like my white dress, that if it was made here probably would have been like a $20,000 dress. I did not spend anywhere near that. I probably spent the price for one dress on all 3 of my dresses. But I will say trying to get them here was a headache. So when we left Ghana in December with the measurements, my mom was leaving Ghana in February, and the goal was for everything to be done in February for my mom. My dresses weren't done yet. One of the reasons was kente is hand woven, so our kente cloth material, that took up until like February to get hand woven. So then after that, my best friend, my maid of honor, she was coming in March. So I'm like, okay, can you get the dresses done in March? She was like, yeah. This dress is still not done in March. And then finally, one of our friends, Jeffrey, he got the dresses in April, but it just was an arm and a leg, like trying to get the dresses. Then we also went through 2 seamstresses for the bridesmaids. The first seamstress did an amazing job with our, it's called Antuma, which is like the printed dress. She did an amazing job with that. I wasn't in love with the white dresses, so I had to hire someone else to do the white dresses. And it was just a lot. It was a lot. It was stressful. I was in a new job, and that did add more stress than I think needed, and it kind of made wedding planning not fun. But it was beautiful.
I was a proponent of just going to David's bridal shower and saying, take your girls there, get the dress, keep it moving.
I can't go out. I'm sick.
They look good. They did look good.
Our dresses look good.
Yeah.
But again, what I would have done differently, because I think I still would have went the Ghana route personally, but what I would have done differently was start earlier.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room. One of the challenges was COVID testing. Now, oh my God, I cannot tell you how much stress that came with, because COVID obviously is so unpredictable. We were so concerned, like, are we going to be having this in the middle of a spike? Are we going to have a lot of people that like decide not to come? Or we're going to have people get sick before it? And like, so it was a nightmare. And for us, that was probably one of the things that we started planning a little earlier on, because number one, we wanted to find out from our guests if they were even still willing to come. This was like November, October. So what we did, just to give you guys a little insight, is we did a survey asking people like, okay, we're thinking about still going forward with the wedding. What is your comfort level if we had vaccinated people and we did testing? What do you think about if we were unvaccinated people and we did testing? What do you think if we did no testing? So, I think overall we found that people would be a lot more comfortable if we had some form of like testing, because like our venue, at least for the evening ceremony, was indoor. Now, if it was like extremely outdoors, I wouldn't have probably had to go as far, because the transmission is not, really a big deal outdoors.
Right.
But because indoors, I knew that we had to kind of do something, and that's the thing I think people really need to realize and understand. It wasn't like I came up with a lot of these ideas and stuff like off the fly. Like, I ran these by like colleagues that I have like from medical school who are like now experts like when it deals with COVID. So I would run it by and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about that idea? Like, yes, this works. Yes, it might be a little too extreme. So trust and believe, this was vetted by multiple other physicians. So what we ended up coming up with is that we did want everyone to get tested, PCR tested a couple days before. I think what we found is through a variety of different issues that some people maybe were going to have trouble with the PCR, some people may not have understood what we were asking. So we did kind of also allow them to do rapid testing the day of. We did have rapid testing available on site. I went back and forth how we were going to do that. There are actually like companies that actually now they're businesses that basically can vet your testing. So like they'll send a link to all your guests and say, hey, upload your test to this, we'll verify it. They could also do on-site testing as well, but it just became so expensive. You're talking
Very
about thousands of
expensive,
dollars, and I was
yeah.
like, okay, I think I can do this without it. So that was one of the things we did. Then it became a question of how we're going to verify people's tests. So thank God we had 2 people that we had hired to stay at the table.
Yeah,
So that
shout out to OC,
Yes.
Ose, and Bera.
Mini-me.
We love y'all.
Yes.
Bera, shout out to Bera for helping me with like my content that day. That's why reels were just pumping out. So shout out to Bera for that.
Yes.
But yeah, also helping with the COVID testing.
Yes. So we would have this. So we had them actually at the table, and we allowed our guests if they wanted to in advance, if they wanted to email their COVID test. We made a whole separate like Gmail account, and if they wanted to upload their test to kind of make the line, because we wanted the line to move smoothly as they got in. So basically, some people were already checked off. They just said their names and they kind of went on in. If people needed to test on site, they grabbed the test, went outside, tested, showed the result, and then came on in.
And we created an email account
We
for
did.
this, so it wouldn't
Yes.
get jumbled in our other emails. So what was the email?
It was like COVID test Gmail.
Yeah,
yeah.
Just something generic that people could just filter into there. We could just check really quick.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
smart, babe.
Yeah, thank you. And so, yeah, I mean, I will say for those people that do have those concerns or are thinking about it, do understand that I would say overall, I would think a lot of people were very supportive of it, and especially for like our older people, because like a lot of our older family members, they really haven't been outside the house or like even gone to like an event like this in almost 2 years. And I wanted them to feel safe, and I wanted them to feel like they could enjoy the event and just at least have one night where they could just feel like normal again, right? And there were a couple people, I'm not gonna shout any names. I could, but I won't. But
People was coming for our necks.
yeah, but people were coming for us like, why we gotta do this testing and da 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 da. But you know what? At the end of the day, it came across very well. Everyone was safe.
Yeah, and we provided, shout out to my cousin
Yeah.
AK, my sister, I love you. She provided us with the rapid testing. So we weren't, rapid testing became like the last resort. But if guests did come and they were able to do the PCR, especially for whatever purpose reasons, we did provide guests with with rapid tests on site.
Yeah. But I definitely recommend, if it's something that's really important to you and like safety is like a big concern for you, that may be an option for you. Oh, that was one thing I forgot. We also did social distance bands. It didn't work out exactly how I wanted it to, but it was more kind of the venue didn't place it where we wanted to. But we had these social distancing bands where each color represented your comfort level. So like red was like, I'm social distancing, kind of don't come near me. Yellow is like I'm kind of good with like waving and stuff, but still kind of keep your distance. The green is like I'm all for hugs, baby. So we had that available, and it was more so I was kind of using it more as an ID based bracelet that like, hey, I'm verified, I have my test, so I'm good. But other than that, I thought it worked very smoothly. I was very happy. Oh, so I guess one of the other challenges we had, but I think one we had a good solution to it, was because of the issues with the hairdresser and stuff like that, and even leading to the event, because we had to keep reminding people about the COVID testing and kind of just updates, in terms
And where
of,
they
like,
can get it, like
Yeah.
Charles was providing resources to people where they can get it. Some people they haven't had to do it in a long time, so they weren't
Right.
sure, or they were concerned that it was going to cost money.
Right. So I was like, how am I gonna like consistently text some of these people? Like, 'cause I'm like, I don't want a whole group message of like, I'm like, because everyone can't stand group messages, right? So I like was looking online and I found like a website for like wedding text messages where there's a cost to it, but I will say 100% it was like worth it. I think it was $100, but you got unlimited text messaging up until your event, and so that way I was able to text all our family members, all our wedding guests, like updates, like between the testing, between like, hey, if you're going to the hotel, this is when the shuttle is leaving. And when we ran into issues with the hairdresser, I was able to let everybody
That
know
was
early in the
clutch.
morning, like, hey, we're gonna be delayed. So, and I'm letting you know like almost 2
Because
hours.
a big part
in
of my
advance.
anxiety, we
Yeah.
wanted to be on time so badly. That was a big reason why we hired Jeffrey. And a big part of my anxiety when the hair situation was happening was like, oh my God, we're not going to be on time. I don't want people to have to just be waiting for us, especially outside and it's hot. But then when Charles was able to just mass text our guests to just be like, hey, if we had an emergency, wedding's going to be delayed an hour. Like, I felt like I could just breathe and I could take pictures without feeling like people are outside waiting for me,
Yeah. So that was.
Why laugh about my pictures? I'm gonna take pictures.
Because I'm just
okay?
like, I love how she's like, I'm running late, but I will get my picture.
No, but I thought I wasn't. I was like, I'm not going to be able to take pictures because the show must go. I want to
Yeah.
respect people's time. Even our first look, once I realized we're late, it's funny, you were telling them the same thing. I was like, no first look. Like, we got to get into this wedding.
Right.
So, but it was nice to just kind of give us an hour you know, with,
Yeah.
with texting the group. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, no problem. And I think, you know, the biggest lesson I would say is that, and I remember my uncle even telling me this, like leading up to it, was like, no matter how good you are, and you know, we were for the most part very prepared, something will go wrong. Like, it's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
there's really nothing you can do that will prevent that. And I think, you know, I was telling Dolores that, you know, one of the things I've kind of learned throughout these past 2 years and stuff is that you really have to cherish the moments you do have to spend with people and stuff, because you just don't know when you're going to get that opportunity. So you can't let little small things take away from, you know, having a good experience.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, I guess another challenge was with our photos. Not so much during the events. I think the hardest part was because we were a little delayed with the wedding ceremony. We had to change a little bit about how we were going to do photos, because initially our goal was we were going to try to get at least the wedding party done before the ceremony, and if we had time, we were going to do our parents. But because we couldn't, and you know, everyone was kind of going to the cocktail hour, I think it kind of became a little difficult to figure out, like, okay, there was a little bit of like disorganization about like how we were going to shoot the party first, and then like our families, like they were kind of wondering when they were supposed to jump in and stuff like that. So I think probably one thing, and I think we did have like a shot list. I would say one of the things
We did have a shot list. Jeffrey made one. I think the problem just became when we all went upstairs, because our whole family was upstairs ready for pictures.
Right.
But then there was a little bit miscommunication with the photographer actually wanting us downstairs. So then by the time we got some people downstairs, it's like we lost like a good 20 minutes.
Right.
So I think that probably was the challenge. But other than that, our video photography
They were
team
great.
really was
Oh, they were
good.
great. I mean, they were
all
there
of our
all
vendors,
day.
like really, with the exception of the hair,
Yes.
all of our vendors really, you know, I don't know, I'm just really grateful that we chose people who had like good hearts, like that really jumped in to help. Like one of our photographers was like steaming robes, you know, for us. So shout out to everybody that just pitched in and found something to do while we were waiting, or while, you know, we're trying to figure out the hair situation. So definitely shout out to Team and Shira, like you guys.
Oh yeah, they were great. They were absolutely great.
Very good.
Yeah, they captured every single moment that, like, you know, I wanted, even with the guys and stuff, our moments, like they were there at all time. So yeah, they're very professional.
Let's wait for the pool. It's 4th of July, y'all. People are having a good time. But another question we have, yes, we're about to have a good time. But another question that we had that we want to address is, how do we coordinate our bridal party, especially because all of them lived in different states? And you'll see in the clips when we show us practicing our dance rehearsal. But one of the things we did was we did virtual rehearsal. So we showed them the venue, we recorded it and sent it to them. We had group chats. So we had our separate group chats for like groomsmen, bridesmaids, but then we brought them all together. So that was really good for communication. And even Jeffrey, shout out to Jeffrey again. This screaming, y'all. Hopefully y'all can hear me. But shout out to Jeffrey again for even like taking over the group chat. There'll be times where,
oh man, like what you call it? Like one of my guys asked a question, and before I could roll over because I'd be in bed, like, and get to my phone to answer it, Jeffrey's already answered in 20 seconds.
So another reason I have a wedding coordinator who is Jeffrey. But so that's how we coordinated them. And then what we did was, once we paired everyone up, I put in their group chat with everyone, like, hey, this is your partner. And then Charles and I just flipped a coin with who should reach out to who first, because we didn't want people waiting like, oh, are they supposed to reach out? So we just said, ladies, reach out to your guy first. Here's the number, and pick a song, and we need the song by the end of the week. And then what I started doing was, when people would give me their songs, I would put in the group chat like, yay, you know, Jessica and Drew have their song, and that would get people feeling like, oh, let me get my song, you know. So that was good. And then we sent them videos of the dance, the opening we wanted them to do, and then finally dress rehearsal really is where it all came together. And thank God for our wedding party, y'all. We appreciate y'all so much. I know we keep telling you guys, but you guys really made our day. So yeah, love y'all, love our family, love everybody, and grateful.
Yes. I guess the other thing we talk about is with the maitre d' at the venue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I don't know what happened, which is kind of interesting to me, because like, I will say our venue was fantastic.
Yes.
Like the staff we worked with leading up to it was
They were so
great.
open. If we want to come take pictures, if we want to just come hang out over there, they were just like, sure, come, no problem.
They were, but it just the day of, you know, there were a couple of things that we wanted on the table. Like we wanted hand sanitizer on the tables. For some reason,
we provided all of this, and you kind of see a little bit of it in my last video. But like I took a bin, and whatever I placed in the bin, I wrote inventory on a sheet on top of it, like what is in this bin. You know, I literally wrote every single thing like on the thing, so there was no reason to get it mixed up. Yeah.
So some there's some miscommunication, but even with, I was like, okay, I'll let that go. But like, the most frustrating part was, so we were supposed to be assigned like an attendant, right? Like I was supposed to have one, Dora was supposed to have one. And they were like basically supposed to cater to like our needs, like when the guys, when we were up in the suite just kind of chilling, they were supposed to kind of bring us like beverages and stuff. But we just found our own beverages. But when it came to like dinner and stuff, everyone else was getting served, but we weren't getting served.
Yeah, we weren't getting served. No one asked us for our menu and our order, and really we should have been the first asked.
Yeah.
So that we can always be like a little bit of a head start with eating.
Yeah.
So that we can eat and then start taking pictures and mingling. But like we were literally watching people eat.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until Jeffrey, our wedding coordinator,
and our MC, yeah.
shout out to Oba, who did an excellent job too.
Yes.
They went, and Oba too, I want to give her a little bit more of a shout out because although she was MC, she really also kind of served a little bit as a coordinator. She was making sure we're on time. She was making sure like, wait, you don't have food? Okay, let me go talk. Like, and so shout out to you, Oba too.
Yes. But yeah, once they kind of got that situation, but yeah, we didn't really meet our maitre d's. I guess that's what they were. We didn't really meet them until like the evening was half over, and they tried to.
It wasn't until they went to get them. Oh hi, we're so and so. Just let us know what you need.
And I was so mad. They brought the salad out, and like literally as soon as I sat down to eat the salad, they were going to take it away. I was like,
it was already time for the next course.
I was like, you just put it out, man, like 2 minutes ago. Jesus. But it is what it is. But there were a lot of good things I think that happened.
So let's get to the happier notes. One of the things, especially when I go back to cut your cloth according to your size, like know yourself well and what is important to you. So although we were able to shave off on spending with like some things, there were other things that we really put a lot of like our time and our love into, like our hotel bags, making sure they had like vitamin C and like an Advil and sanitizer and snacks and water. Like that was important to cater to our guests. Also in our bathroom, we had like bathroom refreshments with like Tide to Go pens, pads, tampon shortage, cotton things to clean your ears, like just so many things, Pepto-Bismol, like we've stuffed so much things in there, and then put a little cute sign with like Charles when he was a kid and me as a kid. So that was really cute. We also put like a little time and details into who we wanted as a part of our day. Like my mentor, long time, like she's like a third mother to me. Like she was our officiant. Like our closest friends like read a poem, like just the little things we wanted towards our day. And then also having an unplugged ceremony. Y'all know I'm all about social media. I love posting, but it was really important for our ceremony to just feel more intimate. And obviously those things are going to be shared at some point, but for me personally, and I've read pros and cons. I think a pro is you do get like different people's perspectives of how the ceremony went, because you get like their video clips and stuff. But at the same time, I just didn't want people our whole ceremony like this, and then while they're taking time to post, they're not paying attention. Right. So I think because people, and I would say like 98% of the people respected that. Yes. Because everybody was plugged in, it just felt like we were like all in heaven together. Yes. I don't know, it just felt so intimate. Yes. It just felt very beautiful, very peaceful. I felt very present in what was going on and connected to our guests. And I wouldn't trade that for the world, because that's why we did what we did, was to be able to be plugged in with our guests. So that was super, super important. Yeah,
I agree. I feel like the ceremony itself is like very sacred, and like it should be something that like, you know, everyone's attention should be on. And it was very emotional, you know. I mean, I'm sure you'll post in the clips, but between you telling the hairdresser story, it's just kind of just going through like our own journey, like you know, because like the average person, you know, usually didn't have to go through waiting so long to like. And I thought
I wasn't gonna get emotional for the second wedding, because I was like, oh, we're already married and we're just kind of going with the flow.
Yes, I didn't think so.
But I just felt so grateful, like, wow, I get to walk down the aisle with my dad. Wow, I'm really having this. Wow, my friends like came to see us do this like again, even though they missed it the first time, and even though we're already married. Yes. So it just filled me with so much gratitude. So that was definitely my highlight. My second highlight was the turn up. Because we went through all of that, make sure everybody's COVID tested, blah, blah, blah. It was just so nice to like have a party. Because really that's what, after like the sacred moment, I wanted people to have fun. I always wanted like a wedding party where people don't want to go home. They're like, DJ, keep playing the music. Drinks are flowing. Food is good. And that's what I got to see at our wedding. Like people having a good time on the 360, dancing. Like that just made my heart so happy. And there's times in the wedding where I couldn't really participate because I either had to go change or do formalities. But when I would just look and see my friends having a good time, I was like, yes, like I would want to be a wedding guest at our wedding. And, you know, shout out to everybody for making that happen. Shout out to everybody for being so open and coming. And, you know, just, it was good. Even when the DJ had to stop playing music, we're like, we don't want to go home. And he even gave us like a little bit extra time, our venue. So that was a huge highlight for me that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, I would say I think, I'm sorry to go back, but I think just having everything at that hotel was great. Because
Charles loved his breakfast at the hotel too.
I do. I am, I don't stay in hotels and they all have breakfast in the morning. Because like, I just think for our guests, like, it was just so nice that like, they're like, oh, you know what? I don't have to worry about a meal.
Yeah.
Like, and we can all just come down and fellowship in the morning. Like, your dad and your, his, the outdoor patio. That was their spot every morning.
So grateful.
You know, so I like that. I like that we were able to have a rehearsal dinner at the same spot too. Like as soon as you checked in, you just came back downstairs. And we had the meals and food ready for them and stuff like that. So yeah, I just liked having everything all in one central look. Like, you know, like even after the African ceremony, it was such a great feeling. The guests would be like, "So where's the evening one?"
We're like, right here.
They were like,
yeah,
okay,
go get changed, go relax.
They're like, all right, I know where this is. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
That was such a blessing.
I'll see you later.
That was such a blessing.
So that was a highlight for me. I think the African ceremony as well was just like beautiful. Like I'd seen videos of it, but obviously it's very different when you're actually a part of it.
The Ghanaian traditional ceremony.
Yes. But yeah, no, it was good. It was nice to see my parents dressed in the traditional outfits. Like that was cool. I love my outfit. Shout out to
Wakanda Forever. I feel like we have to do it together right now. Wakanda Forever.
My outfit was a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, the Black Panther. Yes, I was very persistent that that's what I wanted to wear.
And you look good, baby.
Yes, thank you so much. My guys did a great job. And then I'd probably say the last highlight was the shirts that the guys got to wear. So I'm, as you know,
shout out to Brittany, my soror, my
she
sister.
did an amazing job. As you know, big fan of college basketball, and I was like, I'm going to do something to incorporate that and Seton Hall and all that combined. So I was like, you know what? All my friends went to D1 colleges, so I was like, why don't I just make them their own personalized basketball jerseys? And they loved it.
But the nice thing is Charles put like how many years they've known each other, and it was so nice to see like, wow, you've known some of these people, even the people we went to college with. I was thinking it was gonna say like 5 years, but we just keep forgetting we're getting older. But even our newest friends that we went to college with, like that was like what, 12 years, 13 years? Like you had no friend that was under 12 years,
right? Which
was amazing. He even had friends at their shirts at 27 years. So that was really dope for sure. So many highlights, y'all, but I hope y'all enjoyed this. So many highlights. I'm just so blessed. I'm so glad that this is over in a good way, because it really was the wedding of my dreams. Despite anything that happened, it was perfect, and I'm so thankful for everybody that was a part of it, for making it perfect. If you have any other questions, let us know. I think this is it for wedding planning topics, questions, but we're always happy to do a little bit more detail, answer more questions. At some point you guys will see the official video. I also want to put a video of us practicing our dancing, so you'll see that. But other than that, that's it, y'all. We's married times 2, y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching. Keep supporting my channel. Hit the thumbs up button, share this with someone, and subscribe. Peace.
It's all because of you.